part of Locked On Sports Atlanta on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
To the Hawks Postcast, your home for the best Atlanta Hawks talk. It's quick hitting local insight after every game. You can't get anywhere but right here at Locked On. I'm your host, Tenitra. Batiste. Alongside me is NBA and college basketball analyst DeShaun Tate. The Hawks Postcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Now, I know basketball is a game of runs, but we have to talk about a one-and-done run tonight, and we'll give you our takes on why the Hawks couldn't close out in a 135-126 loss to the San Antonio Spurs. And Tate, you said simply too many runs.
Far too many runs, almost to a point where I just really believe, Tenitra, that there just wasn't enough stops between key possessions.
Yeah.
You know, we saw instances where, and for whatever reason, a lot of times it just happens to be in between the beginning and ending quarters. And I know we'll talk about the main one here a little bit later on the other side. But when you have a situation where in the second quarter, the San Antonio Spurs go on a 19-5 second quarter run, and in a very small, minute 3-minute span, you get 3 turnovers by the Atlanta Hawks, 2 of those by Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Why he's handling the ball, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that the one of the reasons why is a whole different reason we'll talk about later too. But Keldon Johnson, far too much of him in that span, 11 points out of the team's 19 at that particular time. And then you also follow that up by, 3 minutes without a field goal conversion by the Atlanta Hawks. They end up going, shooting 5 for 14 not long after that in a 7-minute stretch. Just far too many stretches. Not about not getting stops at all, but just not getting stops. It's just too many runs. It's just too much going on. And for these to be two teams also that like to get out on the break, 2 of the top 10 teams in the NBA, I think maybe even 2 of the top 5 in transition points. For the Atlanta Hawks to only have 6 of them and get outscored the way that they did by San Antonio did not help. To get destroyed the way you did inside of the paint, where you got over 7-footer being Kristaps Porzingis back active, and an over 7-footer Victor Wembanyama inactive, not taking advantage of that. All of that just didn't make sense. They made their money tonight by getting into the paint. The Hawks unfortunately didn't do enough, and defense is one of those reasons why.
Yeah. I think you make a great point about points in the paint. I wasn't expecting, with the absence of Victor Wembanyama and the return of Kristaps Porzingis, that the Hawks would have been outscored 60-46 in the paint, and particularly late in the game, in addition to what we saw in the second quarter. I mean, there were 3 possessions in a row with the Spurs where you just saw them go up the lane like nobody's home. Yeah. Oh, wait, nobody's home. Oh, once again, nobody's home. I mean, there was one of them where it was literally like the radio broadcaster, the great Steve Holman, said basically 1-100, 2-100, all the way to like 6 100s. And it's like, there shouldn't be 6
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
3 Mississippi, exactly. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, this should not be happening. And there was even a point where Nickeil Alexander-Walker's kind of looking around like, so anybody gonna send help? No, nobody sent help. And sometimes when you are struggling like that inside where there's no explanation, sometimes it's not at that point about X's and O's. Sometimes it's just about having that basketball IQ and that quick trigger on the basketball IQ to say, I'm looking over here and I'm seeing my front court struggle. I'm going to bring some type of support, some type of help. But yeah, that going back to your take, that second quarter is where things really, really got out of hand for the Hawks. And you kind of look at it, like you said, from the perspective of in every direction, it just, when you look and you see 46 points to 26 points, like what kind of defense are you playing for there to be a 20-point deficit in that one quarter? You're allowing the Spurs to shoot 68% from the field.
That's nasty.
64% from 3. I mean, that's a lot. But on top of that, if we're just being honest, you then also allowed the Spurs to dictate the game on the offensive side because they were dictating the game on the defensive side. Going back to your point about the struggles inside, they're out rebounding you offensively first and foremost. So they're getting a boatload of second chance points opportunities, 10 offensive rebounds to just 2 for the Hawks, but also 14 rebounds overall to just 6. I'm sorry, on the defensive side of the ball, but doubling you up on the offensive side, which means they're doubling up on their second chance opportunities as well. And that's just not a good look and not a winning formula. And for me, my take was just, I'm starting to kind of sort of feel Trae's absence. And you and I have never really like gotten into the weeds with our everydayers who are always asking the questions in the comments about being gone. And do you think that maybe we just got one question? What's up? Y'all still want to trade Trae?
That's right.
Good point, Twisted for Life 89. I want all y'all who've been saying that for a minute. And DeShaun and I have been ignoring you guys on purpose.
Intentional.
Yep, because it was asinine. And it's actually shown itself in the last several games. But I wanted to point it out, particularly tonight, because when I'm looking down the box score, there are 3 things, one of which you just said. So I want to co-sign what you said, but I want to add to it. When I'm looking down the box score and I'm seeing Dyson Daniels with 5 turnovers, and I'm seeing this on a consistent basis, that is telling me I know a floor general, I know a ball handler is missing. I know that. Also, when you look at the point differential, Nickeil Alexander-Walker had himself a fantastic game, 38 points, just 2 turnovers, if you will, and even 3 blocks. So he gave it to you at both ends. But yes, Dyson Daniels did have 3 steals, if you will, and 6 rebounds. But again, we're having that light night on offense, and that's 8 points because you really are asking him to do things out of his element. So
I'm glad.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad that you said that, Tenitra. You're on fire tonight, by the way.
Yeah, because I'm not pleased. I'm
No, I
to finish,
know.
but I'm gonna let you go, brother.
I know when my girl ain't feeling something, but no, and I want to make things clear to those who are listening and watching.
Yeah,
it's not about this resulting in a loss that we're deciding to mention. We've been seeing that Trae's presence have been missed. I think that
exactly.
I think that some of the people tend to maybe put too much emphasis on the wins and assume in some cases that Trae isn't, as needed or as necessary as you may have thought. I always give this reference that mama ain't giving birth to 25 and 12 every single night. True. Getting away from the Trae narrative for just a second, dare I also say that we have had a RRP tonight. Didn't want to mention it, but it
Don't
is
worry,
the case.
I was coming for it. But go ahead.
You was well deserved. David Jones Garcia, who's in his, I think his 5th, not only his 5th NBA game played, but obviously that played in the San Antonio Spurs uniform. 12 points, only missed 2 shots on tonight. By the way, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for a guard. Absolutely crazy, and just really got his name based off of his play over the summer in the G League. So definitely want to put that out there. As I mentioned, we are talking about a real rookie here, but I think that it's just really a matter of this Hawks team not only missing Trae, but I feel that the same way you feel about that. I feel that same way about Kristaps Porzingis, this over 7-footer that the Hawks probably realistically haven't had one worth mentioning since number 55. God rest his soul.
Yeah,
More so on top of that, I think that taking those shots from the outside, I've been saying it forever, putting you out of position for not only rebounding, but also not being known as a threat from a rim protection standpoint either. Like you said, too many instances where guys just going to the basket when he's active and playing, when he's playing in the games, just doing whatever that they want to do. I tried to excuse it versus Toronto, not the first time, but also the second time. Then you have this instance as well. We're not even going to get into some of the other couple games that he did play. So that right there was just a little bit distasteful for me. Yeah. And it's starting to feel like Rajon Rondo when he was with the Hawks. He plays when he wants to play, when he feels like playing for the teams that he wants to decide to play for.
Yeah, and that's a tough one because listen, we already know that some of the players on the Hawks team, who shall remain nameless, need bubble wrap because they're going to be injured often. But when you're in there, like, we need you to show up 110%. And there are some other things that I want to get to, some other things that really, really concerned me / ticked me off tonight. But we know that there's one thing in particular that ticked us off tonight, and that was the turning point that we'll talk about when we come back. This episode of our Hawks Postcast is brought to you by Quo. Let's talk about something every business owner knows too well: missed calls. When a customer tries to reach you and can't get through, that's money slipping away. Quo, spelled Quo, is the smarter way to run your business communications so you never miss an opportunity. Quo is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. You're going to love that Quo works right from an app on your phone or computer. No extra devices, no clunky landlines. Your whole team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, which means customers get help faster. And the built-in AI is a game changer. It logs your calls, writes summaries, and even sets up follow-ups automatically. So try Quo for free at quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. And yes, you can even keep your existing number. Quo, QUO. No missed calls, no missed customers. This episode of our Hawks Postcast is also brought to you by Rougiette. Now, let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. So Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door, and the process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. So visit RUGIET.com/lockedonnba to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/lockedonnba. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNBA so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. This episode of our Hawks Postcast is also brought to you by Skims. When Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands, that roll, and a whole lot of settling. Well, Skims Men's changes that. One upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone's been talking. But once you try Skims Men's underwear, you'll get the hype immediately. They're designed to feel good, fit right, and actually stay put. No slipping, no sagging, no adjusting, just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. Now, your favorite pair, might be interesting. Might be the cotton 5-inch, stretch 5-inch, cotton 3-inch, or stretch 3-inch boxer brief. And what's going to stand out to you right away is the fit in the fabric. Soft, supportive, and comfortable all day. So shop Skims Men's right now at skims.com. When you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down to let them know we sent you. Plus, the Skims Holiday Shop is open. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. Well, DeShaun, you kind of teed this up for our Postcast everydayers. And we just want to tell these guys, too, that we appreciate you for making our Hawks Postcast your first listen of the day. And, of course, thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. But, yeah, you alluded to it. So we're going to break it down one more of those runs because the Hawks actually took a lead or retook a lead because they were up by 8 very early on, only to let a 10-0 run around the 9:04 mark in the fourth quarter in any hope of a comeback. That was the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So, DeShaun, the Hawks were a little scrappy in the third quarter. They kind of turned things around after allowing the Spurs to outscore them 46-26. In the second quarter, they come back, outscore the Spurs 32-21. They're tied up, and all of a sudden, they go ahead by 1 point. And it literally felt like the bottom fell out almost instantaneously because really, and the Spurs went on, of course, to a mega run in that fourth quarter, if you will. So it was something like 26-8 when, or 24-8 rather, when it finally tapered down or tampered down. But it was what happened right around that 9:04 mark where all of a sudden the Spurs just woke up, especially inside. They go 10-0. Sean, it was a wrap at that.
A little scrappy, Atlanta. I see what you did there. I'll be watching you from time to time. I'll be paying attention. No, I mean I think that's something that really gave me the feel, and not saying that this was necessarily the case, but definitely gave me the feel of, all right, they just playing with us now. Like they're giving us the thought that they're gonna be able to take a lead. And then we come back, we get excited, and then they take another lead, and then we come back, we get excited, and then it's like, all right, we're going to decide to just take another lead again. That's where you saw not only their defense step up, I think it was just a combination of many things because you saw some turnovers in that stretch. Julian Champagny goes off for about 5 of those 10 points in that run. He's shooting, I think, 38% from 3 for whatever reason within that stretch. He's like, can't miss a shot on purpose, no matter how hard he tried, and
no matter how he wasn't guarded. But go ahead.
At all, by no matter whom it was. But I mean, it was just rolling. You know, the crowd was kind of getting into it as well. I mean, the energy was just a little bit different, and it almost feels like they sped up the Hawks a little bit. In which I'm not even sure if that was really necessarily the case, but I feel like there was very uncharacteristic things. And it's not just in this stretch, it was in the stretches of which I mentioned in the last segment as well, when they just couldn't get a stop. It appeared as if San Antonio was doing whatever they wanted to do whenever they felt like doing it. I think that was probably the part about it that kind of gave it was, I guess, just hard to fathom a little bit because it really appeared to have come too easily. You're seeing guys getting wide open layups. You're seeing senseless turnovers, very uncharacteristic things by the Atlanta Hawks all at one time. In some ways, it looked like a clown show, and not just turnovers, unforced turnovers at that.
Yeah, and I think it literally felt like the Hawks almost laid down and just conceded so quickly after they had fought so hard to come back. But then again, maybe that's a part of it as well. You expend so much energy coming back from a 19-point deficit that by the time you get back to take that 1-point lead, you don't have the energy that it takes to now stave off a comeback from the Spurs. And then slowly but surely, you just fall apart in a matter of minutes. But yeah, maybe just they expended a little too much energy to be able to really like come back. But yeah, when you look at the shot chart for the fourth quarter, the Spurs did make three threes, and they made some threes at critical points. But and so they were 3 of 4 from 3 in that quarter. But when you really look at their shot chart, I mean, it's like bunnies on top of bunnies. Like they literally shot of their 8 shots, 7 of them were inside the not just the free throw line, but like truly inside. And like 4 of those 7 were like bunnies. I'm talking like I'm right under the basket. All I have to do is kind of tip the ball in. So for me, that was frustrating as well, because I was wondering, where the contesting of shots was. But real quick, I want to go back to something else that I felt like was a little bit disconcerting. And I've seen it a couple games now, but tonight, in looking back at that box score, just kind of seeing the Hawks, like you said, uncharacteristically make turnovers. But I felt like it was because too many people were maybe trying to do things that they shouldn't be doing, because you had Jalen Johnson with 4 turnovers, right? And then we already talked about Dyson Daniels with his 5 turnovers. And I think that's one of those where you have to kind of decide, okay, here and there handling the ball, not bad for Jalen Johnson, if you will. But ultimately speaking, that is a little bit of a concern that they ended tonight with 16 turnovers, and it was the bunches of turnovers. And then one more thing, because DeShaun, you put it out there, so I'm going to finish on it.
No doubt.
Not pleased, number one, as you mentioned, with David Jones-Garcia being a plus 25 by scoring 12 points in 19 minutes. But on the same token, also not pleased with Keldon Johnson scoring 25 points rather in 32 minutes. In my opinion, because they're not starters, if you will, for the Spurs, like Hawks got burned by 2 random role players. We can't have that. Like, that can't happen. You've got Zachary Risachet coming back after being out a couple games. You have Kristaps Porzingis coming back after being out a couple games. They don't have Victor Wembanyama. Those are the types of games, and when we say win the games you're supposed to win, this is one of those games. But hopefully it is a little bit of a one-off, because we did see better returns, albeit a loss against the Detroit Pistons, and you just have to hope that when this team touches down in New Orleans come Saturday, that there will be a different result against the Pelicans. The Hawks Postcast is the number one place to hang out after every game and is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more on the Hawks, head over to Locked On Hawks with our guy, Brad Rowland. We'll see you next time.